It's time for the I Love Anne Show.
Well, it's nothing like a little shameless promotion for yourself, is there, Gresham?
No, absolutely not. I love Ann, too, and I love Gresham.
Well, there you go. That's right. We're still voting up here, so, I'm still looking for votes, Gresham.
Good deal. Well, keep plugging, girl. When is the actual Anne Eller election day?
I don't know. I got to see if I can get ahead, Gresham. That's the beauty of an election like this. I think we're done. I won.
Keep charging, girl. Keep charging.
So anyways, how's everything going for you?
Fantastic, Ann. We're actually on the bus headed to Lawrence, and we're going to be in your neck of the woods around 11:15 this morning at T. Boone's.
Okay.
T.W. Boone's down on Main Street with our bus tour to talk about turning South Carolina around, talking about putting South Carolina back to work, Ann.
Well, I understand. Are you going all across the state today?
We are. Well, actually, we started in Anderson. We just left Mama Penn's. We had a great crowd there, probably 50 or 60 people. We're headed to Lawrence next, going to be down on the main street there, headed to you afterwards. Then we're going to finish up in Aiken, and then head down to Hilton Head. Tuesday, we're working the coast, and then Wednesday, working our way back up. So traveling the state, talking to men and women about turning this economy around, talking about empowering people, not government. And the way we do that, Ann, is putting people back to work.
Well, Gresham, we better hurry up and put people back to work because there's a freight train coming.
Absolutely. Well, there's 12.6% unemployment in South Carolina, 270,000 people without jobs. And when December rolled around, or actually January, we put out our 8-step putting South Carolina back to work plan, and it's a common sense business approach of the things we can do to really turn this economy around. And let me just touch on a couple of them. Well, number one is comprehensive tax reform. We need a system that's fair, that's flatter, that we put all the options on the table and encourage businesses and industry to come into South Carolina, and then help the businesses and the industry grow. We've got to have restructuring, not only at the government level, but certainly at the Department of Commerce. We need a head of business recruitment and development that's hired on a performance-based contract. We have an incentivized workforce that understands the better they do, the better South Carolina does, and vice versa. And then we update our incentive plans, and to make sure that we can be competitive with the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Tennessee. But one thing the governor can do from day one, right now there's about 40,000 jobs that are unfilled in South Carolina. We need to use workforce development funds, marry up workers with these jobs, employ them on the spot so we get them off the unemployment roll, and then we can train them on site. So it is literally a win-win for the employer and the employee.
Well, that's a very interesting point, Gresham, that we have, you're saying 40,000 jobs that have not been filled, that employers are looking for employees.
Yeah, and part of the problem therein lies, Ann, these are specialized jobs that we don't have the educated or the trained workforce. And that's one of the reasons we want to use some of these workforce development funds and focus on these 40,000 jobs. We're going to make it easy for the employer, because not only can they hire them on the spot, they can do OJT, on-the-job training, so they can work the job and be trained at the same time. But again, it's also a plus for the employee, because they've got a job and we get them off the unemployment roll.
Absolutely. That sounds great. One of the things in the news this morning that I thought was kind of distressing was people who were middle-income people, whether retirees or working people today, are looking at being low people, not having the income that they had a year ago.
That's right. Well, and it just stresses the fact, and we want to do a lot of things in South Carolina, but until we put people back to work, it's all for naught. And we've got to break this cycle of dependency. But giving a person a good job, or helping them obtain a good job, whether it's through educational areas or one of the areas that I'm huge proponent of, and you've heard me talk about it a million times, is the energy sector. We're kind of concentrating on that today. About 3 weeks ago, we put out our Palmetto Energy Plan, which has a two-pronged attack. Number one, it taps in, or we want to tap into the 4 billion cubic feet of natural gas off of our coast. The National Petroleum Institute and says it could be up to 2,200 jobs, and if you compare the royalties or what's happening to the Gulf Coast states to South Carolina, it could be $250 million at a minimum that we could use as we see fit. The other side of that equation is certainly nuclear. We've got the Savannah River site, which is literally a stone's throw from Greenwood, but we've also got 4 nuclear reactors on the board in South Carolina, which could be real jobs and real growth and real economic opportunity. We were down at Florence Darlington Tech a couple of weeks ago, where they're training our next generation nuclear reactor welders, pipe fitters, men and women like that. They can start and at $75,000 a year. So it's a tremendous plus. And when we're in full swing with the 4 nuclear reactors, plus Plant Vogtle, which is right across the river in the North Augusta area, we could see 12,000 jobs, additional jobs in the energy sector.
That sounds great, Gresham, and I sure hope it comes to pass. But, one of the things that I think does have to happen, too, is our workers need to understand that it's do what it takes for the job anymore. It's not, I don't like this job, I'm out of here. We see so much of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's, when I look at what's going to change the dynamic in this nation, and listen, I've been in Washington for the last 7.5 years. God bless the men and women that are up there, and certainly the ones that want to go up there. But I can look you straight in the face, Ann, and tell you that the answers for this nation are not in Washington, D.C. They're in our states, and that's the way the Constitution of the United States was developed. I mean, it's a states' rights Constitution. That's what the 10th Amendment says, and it's time we had a governor or governors that were willing to stand up and say, you know what, we're not taking this anymore. We're going to take our freedom back, and we're going to take our nation back.
And it needs to be more than one governor at a time, doesn't it, Gresham?
I think so, Ann. I mean, if it takes one governor to kind of light that spark, so be it. But there are strengths in numbers, certainly. And if we had several governors that could band together and challenge this, listen, nobody knows the problem we have in South Carolina better than us.
Absolutely.
And nobody knows how to solve them better than we do. I mean, I can tell you right now that we have better solutions and better ideas than any bureaucrat sitting behind a desk in Washington, D.C. We just got to make sure people understand that.
Well, that's true, but that's just like families, isn't it, Gresham? They understand better than anybody else what they can and cannot afford to buy.
Absolutely, and I'll give you a perfect example, Ann. I'm working with Jim DeMint right now on a little bill called devolution. It's kind of a fancy name for allowing us to keep our own road tax money. South Carolina, as small as it is a donor state. For every dollar we send up in road tax money, we only get back, 95, 94 cents. I guess it depends on who you talk to with the formula. But what about an innovative idea that's just common sense, if you ask me? Let us keep our own road tax money. Now, interstate, federal government, that's your bailiwick. That's what you're supposed to do. But the other places, the roads, the bridges, the water, the sewer, you let us keep our own money and let us solve our own transportation and infrastructure problems.
Gresham, this all sounds good. You're going to be down there at T.W. Boone's this morning?
T.W. Boone's at 11:15. The bus will be rolling in. We've got Mr. C.T. Cromer, who is our pilot in charge of our bus today, and we're on our way to Lawrence. We're going to do a little stop, and if you can come by, my dear, I'll buy you some sweet tea. How does that sound?
Sounds great, Gresham. Hey, you have a good day.
Thanks, Ann. You take care. We'll see you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.